Welcome back to Insight on CapRadio. I'm your host, Vicki Gonzalez. About 6 months ago, the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe set out to do something 60 years in the making. The tribe lost federal recognition in 1964, and with that, their land. So this year, they set out to buy back several hundred acres of their ancestral homeland in the Sierra foothills. We first checked in with the tribe back in April as they were closing in on their first fundraising goal to purchase that land. And at the end of last month, all of that work became a reality. Escrow closed and the land is officially theirs. Shelly Covert is the spokesperson for the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe, as well as the executive director of the California Heritage Indigenous Research Project, also known as CHIRP, and she joins us now with an update on their Homeland Return. Good afternoon, Shelly.
Homakini. Hello, Vicki. How are you?
Doing great. Congratulations. How are you feeling? I mean, I know when I talked to you back in April, we were just closing in on that first fundraising goal. Now it's all a reality. How are you feeling?
Oh, Vicki, it's such a mixed bag of emotions, as you can imagine. Escrow has closed. We ended up raising just over $2.5 million. So we exceeded our phase 2 goal. And now, truly the work begins to get people moved in. There, land management and property management is, again, a new thing for us. It's a bunch of joy and a bunch of terror, I think, as we talk about 60-year-old settling ponds that were never certified or permitted. It was actually before the Departments of Health and Human Services were even a thing. So we're, some deferred maintenance on this beautiful land. The cultural resources that remain on the land. There's a medicine rock. So it's like having all this joy and then having, just the realities of living in 2024, I suppose. The infrastructure is old and it's been fire burned already. So, a lot of work that we're looking forward to, actually, and really building this bridge to the future. This is the first time I think the stones through the creek are visible, and it's exciting and it's a little scary, but it's just wonderful. It really is.
I mean, of course, it's a milestone, but there's still a lot more work that needs to happen. So I'm happy that you're finding maybe a moment or two to kind of pause and soak in and absorb this moment as you still have a lot of work ahead. When it comes to this land, 232 acres near Nevada City, can you help us visualize the historical importance of it?
Oh, sure. First off, it is on or part of one of the Nisenan ancestral homeland sites called Yulića. And so we're seeing a lot of that original native landscape living amongst, of course, the mining debris, heavily mined in the past. There's a lot of environmental damage. The forests are overgrown. The medicine plants and things that you can see could come back if the little creeks were restored and given a bunch of love. The animals that come through here are just incredible. There's do you call them a flock of turkey? There's a 13 with the mom and dad, and the little family of turkey that go by, and the deer that just act like domesticated animals because they're not afraid. They just lay out on the porch. It's really just totally fabulous. The birds and animal and plant life. I can see it's just the chance for restoring that old landscape, bringing it back to life as much as possible. There are willow and sedge out in the creek that, again, needs love, but there are the beginnings of basket materials so that we can do basketry. And a plethora of food things, the old tubers that are in these little patches. You really have to look for them under the invasive or non-native species that are on the landscape. But it's just having that 232 acres. There's a variety of life. There's a variety of cultural practices that can be reinstated and restored. But really, it's the elders. They're connecting with the land in the way that I think is really, it's just so bored into their memoryscapes that seeing it and having it right here and them being together is what we have needed for so long. It's just like they just sort of get their wheels back on the ground and start moving forward, where I freak out. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do all this? We got to put a project in place and get it funded. And they just go out and sit and kind of listen to the land and absorb what's around them. So it's really, really fabulous. It's we're on satellite internet out here, which I'm spoiled rotten living in Grass Valley. We had the high speed Comcast. So we're dealing with the things I've been spoiled rotten with. Grandma used to say, "Oh, you girls couldn't live, 2 weeks in that old land with, no internet, and no water, and no computer, and no road, no lights." But it's really feels a little bit like a time warp of stepping back into something that we desire and we need for the tribe.
Well, and that must just take on a deeper and profound meaning, because I remember when you joined us 6 months ago, you mentioned that, due to the gold rush in the Sierra Nevada, you lost 98% of your population. And so you look generations following to today, and now stepping back on your ancestral homeland, that must take on a deeper, really personal significance, seeing those willows and seeing material that you can use to continue traditions that were at threat of being lost.
Absolutely. And, I just turned 58 this year, and how I feel, boy, it's like I've been transported back into being a little girl sometimes. I feel my inadequacy, and it's really, God, it makes me emotional. There's an element of shame there that we've been working so hard on through the trauma, trying to understand. I feel embarrassed if I don't know a word in Nisenan, or I feel embarrassed that I, quote unquote, should know how to tend these basket materials. They're in such dire need of help. And so it's this again, it's such a strange mix of feeling all of the inadequacies just as a human being in this place that I know there's a framework for us to exist with nature and beside nature and amongst nature, and having that deep need, and then feeling like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying, but then I'll remember a song that my grandma sung or a story that my grandpa told, and it's just like the space of the story's impetus is just down the road. And then I'm shocked. It's a miracle that any of it survives to grab onto all this way fast forward into almost 2025, and just feeling the appreciation of the community who supported this fundraiser. That's what made it possible. We're talking about these social justice moments, and people are showing up and supporting. And so there's just so many coincidences that line up that is like, here I'm standing with my daughter on our piece of our homeland, and we're maybe fumbling face first into things we don't actually know how to do, but that we can do it is shocking. My mom always called it blood memory. She said, if you just be quiet and sit out there, your memory will guide you. And there's so much truth to that.
Yeah.
I think among the Native community.
And you now have a space where all of you can gather, because since your tribe lost federal recognition in 1964, the federal government auctioned off that land. So as you're trying to retain traditions, it can be really difficult when you don't have a space or land to do that. And now that has changed. Now escrow has closed and you've bought back some of your ancestral homeland. Is the idea that there will be people who will eventually live on this land, and how will that work?
That is the question. How will it work? I hope it is smooth. We haven't lived together like this for a long time. We have 4 families that are already living on the land in the homes that are permitted and have passed all the things that the county needs to see. We have Upper Campus, they call it, because this was the Quaker Woolman School. This landscape, there's such a huge community of Quaker folks who have supported the fundraiser and are excited about us being here again. But, this was shaped as a Quaker high school boarding school. And so there's some infrastructure in place that is wonderful. There's a commercial kitchen with this big, gorgeous dining hall. So many opportunities. The farm here that we see, the native food sovereignty working in tandem with the commercial kitchen, doing meals on site for people. And their upper campus, the septic is dead up there. So we're looking, there we go back. I'm always drawn back into that septic conversation, it seems, but we have the possibility of 3 more homes up on the upper campus being able to access next year. And we need to build more, and we need to start gathering the folks that are most critical at the center of the tribe, who can live together and be together to really grab this moment and bring us all forward. So it's very exciting. I find myself getting really nervous about all the little rules, like what are my annoying habits that are going to annoy my neighbor / aunt? And let's mitigate those things now before it becomes a problem. But it's really exciting. It's just thrilling.
Well, those seem like good problems to have, considering that you're able to purchase back some of your land. In the last minute or so that we have, I know you have a whirlwind of work to do, but what are the immediate next steps? And where can people go to learn more and stay in touch?
Awesome. Sure. So if you've donated to the GoFundMe fundraiser, you can always go there. We're going to keep updates going. So it's a good place to touch in, and hopefully we'll be doing some updates with photos and stories, and just to keep so many people have been generous with their donations. And I think it's exciting. And if it was me, I donate to things like this all the time. And I want to follow along. I want to be nosy. I want to see what's going on and be part of that excitement. And so you can always follow there on the GoFundMe, but you can go to chirpca.org. That's CHIRPCA.org. That's our website that we're keeping it as fresh as possible so people can learn more. Donate again if you feel like it. And next steps are, it's awful. I feel like $2.5 million is more money than I can imagine. But knowing that the work out here has big ticket dollar association with it as well. So there's always going to be the need for that little pocket of money to keep moving forward. There are 90 adjacent acres that are going up for sale that I've already got my eye on. I'm feeling like a greedy gut sometimes to be like, ooh, and there's more. But really, to buy another adjoining parcel would just open up the door for more houses for tribal people and to bring the community together.
Oh, that is wonderful, Shelly. I look forward to having you on maybe next year when, I don't know, maybe one day you'll be living there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Vicki.
Shelly Covert is the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribal Council spokesperson. She is also the executive director of the California Heritage Indigenous Research Project, also known as CHIRP. And the tribe just accomplished a milestone, 60 years in the making. They have bought back some of their ancestral homeland in the Sierra foothills. And that is it for Insight today. You can learn more about our guests at capradio.org/insight. You can also subscribe to the Insight podcast. If you want to join the conversation, email us at insight@capradio.org. Thank you to producers Sarit Lashinsky and Jen Picard. Our digital producer is Chris Feltz. Insight's technical director and audio engineer is Mark Jones. And our original show music is produced by Adrian Gilmore. I'm Vicki Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. We'll catch you back here tomorrow.